They will more focused on the recordings. So today I will start by creating a legal entity. Let me share my screen. I will keep switching on the different things. So I have just make a notes for you. Maybe I will also, it's available in the deck also, these 10 steps. So whenever we are doing any configuration in the general ledger modules, these are the 10 important things which we need to configure step by step. So we have to create the legal entity. Then we have to define the number sequence. We will see how auto number sequences will be created, how we will can create manual number sequence. Then we will discuss about the operating units. We see how different operating units are available in Dynamic 365 and how we can use them. Then we will set up a main accounts for our transaction purposes. Then we will go to the currency tabs. We will set up the currencies. We will use the financial dimensions. We will create some of the financial dimension and we will see how the entity based back dimensions are working. We will create the accounting structure, and in account structure we will map our main accounts and financial dimensions, which will define how our transaction will be posted in all of the modules. Then we will also configure the calendars, our fiscal calendar and ledger calendars. Then everything whatever we have created, calendar, accounting structure, financial dimension, currency, chart of account, operating unit, whatever it is, we will map everything in our ledger form. So this ledger form is actually decide how our ledger transactions will be posted. Our currencies and currency conversions and everything will be mapped in ledger form. Then we will set up some of the journals, and we will then make some entries in our general ledger module. So keep up again and again visualizing these 9 steps, that these are the, there are some other things also in the GL modules, but if you will configure these things, your GL module will be functional to do anything. And most of the transactions even coming from other modules also, which have to, when you have to do the ledger posting, they are dependent upon your accounting structures, your currency conversions, your calendars, your year end, month end depends on this, your calendars. Most of this time when you are stuck with issue, these 4 to 8 steps are very important. You should have a deep understanding how the accounting structure is configured. Then it's easy for you to troubleshoot everything. And also in implementation project also, you start with sit with your whatever your implementation partner or end users are. Then you define accordingly what different legal entity structures they have. They need one legal entity, multiple legal entities. With the passage of time, I will ask one of the person to volunteer himself for the number sequence, so we can also define everything in the number sequence in proper format, so rather to move here and there. And then I will keep on asking something. For your purpose, what I have done is just created a small document with the help of AI, fictitious company. I have created Global Trading Co. I will set up a legal entity same with this name. I'm assuming if you want, you can set up 3, 4 other legal entities also for your cross company transaction purpose. But if it's you are a new in this process, until the GL module is not configured, I will suggest that just practice what you are doing on the daily basis. It will be easy for you. I'm not restricting, but suggesting. So let's say we will create this legal entity first, one GET. So you just create this legal entity, see the addresses, how we will configure the addresses, see the financial dimensions, and rest of the steps what I have mentioning here until we reach to the general ledger creation. If you already have experience, you want to experience multiple things, definitely why not to create also the one other legal entity, 2 GET in the UK, 3 GET in the Denmark, 4 GET in the Singapore. And then if you want to do intercompany transactions during the other processes, you can also see that. But if you are a new for the setup, just keep focus on it. It will be helpful for you. Later on, after 4 to 5 classes, you can even switch to other things also. So I just created this fictitious company. So you get clarity with the passage of time, these things rather to move without any planning. So I will directly jump into the D365. So I will not waste much of the time in the navigation and other thing. Uh, in the deck, you already have the steps. For the new persons, actually, I know this is difficult. When I move on to the accounts payable, account receivable module, I do not use these screenshots. and this point what I am covering right now. But because some of the people are at the early stage, they are fresh and new, then I even keep some of the navigation for them also. So if I am creating the legal entity, what is the legal entities? It represents a separate distinct legal entity such as company, subsidiary or branch with its own financial reporting requirement, tax registration and regulatory compliance. So it's mean if you have a 4 or 5 different country, it's preferable to have 4 or 5 different legal entities for them based on your implementation project requirement, because each country have different financial, legislative and government requirements. They have different tax requirements. There may be different other transactional requirement, fixed asset requirements can be different for depreciation. So a separate legal entity will be helpful in that such scenario to manage multi-country setups. So normally, each legal entity have its own financial reporting requirement, tax registration, and regulatory compliance requirements. For navigation in organization administration module, this is our first module. We have legal entity, and we will also review how we can set up the addresses. So these are the list of all the modules available right now. I will go to the organizational administration module. Expand and collapse will helpful for sometimes if you don't want to see a lot of options, you can just collapse. It will only show you whatever the main menu are. Inside the organizations, we have legal entity options available. So organization administration, organization, legal entity. In the Dynamics 365, whenever you have a shared form, you will see all the data for different legal entities or companies in your environment are. Right now, Microsoft has helped us. He has provided a lot of demo data. So whenever you are doing anything, it's very easy. You can see any of the existing data available for your practice purposes. But when you in your implementation project, most of the time, these forms will be blank. If you have a 4 legal entity requirement, like in this case, you will set up your 4 legal entity and you will start from the first legal entity in the production. So I will click on, I have to set up the new legal entity. I come into the navigation, legal entity, I will click on new. Legal entity name. You even don't need to follow me. If you want for your practice, for your startup, as per your own need, you can set up your own. It's asking to mandatory field first. Globe electronics trading US. One GET. And country I'm selecting USA. So its company will be always the 4-digit code with numbers and characters. I name it one jet. In some of the implementation project, I have even seen that they have different names, but they use the company as 100, 200, 300, 400. It totally depends upon your end users, how they want the company naming structure is. Accordingly, you will see that in the list, whatever the company code you are using, it will be normally a 4 characters or numbers, mixture of characters and number up to 4. And you will see that one GET I have named it. Now, whenever I have to switch or come to my company, I just need to switch either one GET here or from on the top address bar, I will use one GET to switch to my legal entity. Now, if I want to any other detail add in this, I can add it. In the memo field, if you want to add more description, you can add. These tabs are called fast tabs normally. And if I go to the legal entity setup, there are a lot of options you will see in the fast tab. So whenever you are setting up the legal entity, you have you will see that there are different options available. You can also change the time zone. What is for US?
Type in GMT +6.
GMT +6.
+6 or -6?
+6 is Dhaka.
-6, sorry.
So
-6 is Central Time.
yeah, this is Central Time, US and Canada.
Yep.
Okay, I have changed the time zone also according to my company requirement. A search name is available, a 4-digit code is available, 1GET. I named it. These are all the fast tabs. Right now, to understand for your purpose, addresses and contact information is important for you to learn. If we have to update the addresses within our legal entity, by default, whatever name I have put, uh, and address is appearing here. But if we have to update the address, we will click on edit and change the address. We have zip, postal code information, city available, state available, county available, and also the primary address. So the primary, if the address is marked as a primary, it will be appear on all our POs and other documents. And if we will change it to other address as a primary, that will be appear on our all the corresponding documents wherever we have to use it. Now, if we have to update these other information in the address tabs, we have two options available. Either whenever you have this combo box available for selections, any of these values where data is available, there are two options to reach to there. Either you just click on this arrow and click on view details. So normally after 2 4 5 classes, when you will more hands-on available, and if you have to add a value, if you are in the customer table, if you are in the vendor forms, if you are in any other form, and if you have to add number sequence, you will just from the same form, rather to use the navigation, you will just come here and click on view details, and you will reach to the main form where you have all the address setup information available. Otherwise, let's say by default for the US country, because it's a big ERP, already we have country, counties, states, and different available. But maybe if one of the country like India, Pakistan, or any country where you're setting up your legal entity, and you need the zip codes and countries and cities and county according to your requirement, then you may need to configure them. So like what I will do, if I have to go from navigation, I will duplicate the tab. And same in the organizational information module. We have global address book and addresses and address setup. So whenever you have to add rest of the information regarding address, cities, or states or counties or zip code, you will come to the address setup. As a functional consultant, you should be aware that multiple legal entities, maybe in one of the legal entity, lot of cities or states are not available, or maybe counties are not available. Then from the address setup, you will become and you will be update the addresses accordingly. So I know this default address is available. I want to add it. If I have to add like address formats, I will come back to it. By default, I think most of the countries are available, but still, if you want to add any country which is missing, you can add also by clicking on new, but you have to ensure that this country is not available already in the list. So you will click on new and you will add a country and it will be also available. Then if you have to add the state or province, because I'm working with the US environment now, so I will take example also for the US. I will just click on the new. Country is US. I don't know the exact names of all the states, but just for my practice purpose, I'm putting it like maybe YY a state and description. So it will, because I have a lot of data available, it's difficult for me to memorize. But for your case, let's say for the India, if you want to add states and provinces, accordingly whatever data you want to add for your practice purpose, first you will add a state accordingly and save it. I'm intentionally making this thing like this way, so when I'm updating in my legal entity form, it's easy for you to catch what I have added a new. So first I added a new state, just for example purpose, I added YY. Then I will come to the city. I will click on new. I will select the state which I have already entered. And I will yes, please. Any question? So I
Oh,
did
no
city.
question. No question. I think I was just talking to myself because my system is slow.
No
When I
problem.
try to.
No problem, it's fine. So I added one state, I added one city. So let's say if you are adding any other country, you can accordingly add some. For the US, you will have most of the data available already, or maybe in the Europe or US also, Europe and UK also. But some of the countries, if you want to add, first you will come here, you will add the state, you will add the city, and then I don't need the district or city, streets, group of houses, land plots, group of flats. These address are mostly Russian formats and used for the Russian configuration. But for the US and other countries, if you had to add the street addresses, you will come to the zip postal code. Let's say I'm creating a new zip postal code for my state and my city, which I have created. I will click on new. So this is my state, that's why I named it YY. I will name it like zip code. I am putting it something like 222. And now I will map my same city which I have created, city in YY. So if street in, and believe me, don't think that this form is simple. This is one of the complex entry form, but if you have to configure addresses on your vendor screen, if you have to configure your addresses on your customer screen, if you have to configure your addresses anywhere, you will see these address options everywhere in every form. This is the same method which you have to follow. Normally, in the production or implementation, what happens when you are printing your invoices, when you are printing your purchase orders, when you are doing your product receipts, you have different warehouses. At these type of multiple scenarios, when you have multiple location, multiple addresses, multiple countries, then you should be aware how to add the respective address on the respective document. So as a functional consultant, you should know how to add these addresses and contact. That's why I'm focusing on this thing, because even in the day-to-day job, this thing is very common, issues related to it and configuration related to it. And some of the technical people also do customization based on the requirement also. So what I do, I have created the zip code, I added the street information here, I created the city, I created the state. Country I already have, I don't need to add it. And whenever the country you are using, accordingly address format is available, that how address will be displayed in our legal entity. Right now I don't use proper all of parameters. If I click on add it now, and what the address I have created, so you see US city something, I'll name it like this way. So I is easy, when I've selected my zip code, it's US city, it's a US state, it's appearing like this way. What was the zip code which I created? It was not 2111, something else.
I think you 222. I think.
It was 222. That's why I'm.
Yeah, 222.
So when I type, you see, it's not appearing. This one is my one, city in YY, city in YY, street in YY. That's why I keep it like this way. So I have selected the zip code. Accordingly, my street address, my city, my state is appearing here. If I added the county, it should be also appeared here, but I didn't added the county. So I added my state first, then I mapped my city with the state, then I added the zip code and mapped my state and city with it, and street address is also added. Now you click on OK, and you see the address format is appearing. First it's the street, then it's the city, then it's the state, then it's a zip code, and then it's a country name. So if you want to change the format of this one also, for each country, like in our case, address format is used 0008. So if I come to the address format, and here is address format 008. First street, then city, then state, then zip, postal code, then country region. And that's why it's appearing in my address like this way. If I want to change, I can create my own address format, whatever I want. If I want only display my state or province, I will just map state and province, create the address format, and in the country region, I will accordingly map it. You can practice with some of the other country. You can create your own address format, map in the country region, and then accordingly, whatever the address format you will be use, it will be appear here. So address is important, and the same address tabs when you will be and contact information will be available when you will be on other screens also. You just need to understand that how you can add the new states, zip, other things. If I want to add other address for my legal entity, so I have created another address and I am mapping it. So if I want to make this address as a primary right now, but if I want to make this address as a primary, so it should be used all my documentation. I will click on edit, and I will switch the primary address from here. Now you can see that this one is primary, 111. If I want to make this one primary, 2221, I can change it. Addresses are important. How to configure? I told you there are two ways. Either you can, whenever you are any form, just click on this arrow, right click, and click on view details. You will reach into the master form where all data is coming up, and you can add the data accordingly. Secondly, navigation for the address is also mentioned here. Organization administration, global address book, addresses, address setup, and then legal entity is like here. So what we have done is we created a new legal entity, Global Electronics Trading Co. And we created the addresses. Rest of the options right now I'm not going in detail for it, but maybe in the coming classes we keep up switching while working on different modules. We will come back again and see how the different option is working. Financial consolidations or financial elimination, when we have 4 or 5 different companies and we want to consolidate, we enable this option. Then this after enabling this option, you cannot make the transaction in this legal entity. It's for the reporting purposes. And if you have, let's say, 4 companies, you make one of the company as consolidated company, like 5COL. So it will automatically consolidate in your reporting all the report data of all of your modules in this consolidated company. There is some process to run, but you need to check this option. Then you cannot make the transactions. Any question till now? This one chat.
Uh, uh,
One should.
Raja,
Yes, please.
so while creating a legal company, do I need to be in a specific company? For example, do I need to be in a DAT company to create it, or can I be in any legal entity to create another legal entity?
No, you don't need to be any company. You in any company you can do that. It's not specific to special company you will be and then you will do. Wherever you are in the home page, just you will come to the screen and will create a new legal entity. As soon as you will click on OK and create that legal entity, you will automatically switch to your current legal entity. Like in our case, we are now in Global Electronics Trading US.
Mhm. And
You don't
also,
need to
for
be.
example, okay, I got it. Can I copy this legal entity to another legal entity? All the, I mean, not all the details, any specific details, is there an option here to copy
Yeah,
it?
yes, here there are possibilities. Like mostly company do not copy the transactional data. There are 2 3 different ways. Sometimes you do the cross company setup and automatically some of the transactions you define whatever. In the data management for framework, you also have the option to copy the legal entity. If you go to the data management, I will not go, but just let you show right now. In the data
Okay.
management framework, if you go to the workspaces,
You mean through data entities, we can transfer the data?
there are two right now. Whatever the basic information, if you want to copy, you can use that. But for the data transfer, normally what companies do actually in our scenario, let's say whatever we have data in the production, we want to replicate all the data to our sandbox for testing purpose. So our technical
Mhm.
team normally what you normally do, they copy all the data from production to the sandbox environment. Now that's the different scenario. Now in what you are asking another thing, when I go to the data management framework, I have copy into legal entity information here. So you can try this one also.
Okay. Okay, got it. Thanks a lot.
Anything else? Yes, someone has raised hand. Yes, Magechi?
I didn't raise hands. It was a mistake.
No problem. It's okay. It's okay. It's what we have in the chat. One shortcut if you don't know path for any menu item in the search section, type first letter. Yeah, that's what we discussed. Okay, if you want to add the contact information also, you would just click on the add. It's a simple. Let's if it's a mobile number, and you can add 111111 whatever it is, or you can add email email address. Same way in your vendor forms and your customer forms, when we will switch there, you will see that same you have addresses and contact information available, which we can accordingly update or add. You need to practice specifically. Legal entity creation is simple thing. You just one click, you click on the new and you put the code and setup. But the planning according to your requirement you have to do. I will specially say again, just practice this address thing again and again with multiple combinations, so it will give you some good idea. Don't need to worry about right now about the statutory reporting or registration numbers. Bank account we will use in the bank module. Number sequences, when right now if you see that no number sequence is available, after this we will create a number sequences and this will be automatically populated when we will generate the number sequence. Dashboard image, if you log into your this is your dashboard image right now appearing. If you want to change based on your requirement, you can just come here and whatever you want to change, you can change it. Click on change and you can give the path accordingly. You can change the whatever you want to change from here. If you want to remove, you can remove it, and whatever the company name we have added. It's appearing now here as a global trade, electronics trading US. Report company logo image. So this is normally whatever SSRS reports or static reports from inquiry and reports you are generating, and you want on your invoices, on your journals, on your printouts. If you want your company logo should be appear. My scenario, I have a global electronic trading company. If I want to use the logo on my reports, I will come here and I will accordingly add whatever logo I need it. Text registration and other thing is country company specific. If you need, you want to add text 109 is specifically from the US sites, and if you have to add, you can add it according to your requirement. But right now for your stage, dashboard image and number sequences we will generate right now, addresses, contact, and this information is more than enough. And based on your end user requirement, if for your practice, if you want to have, I have created one GAT. If you want to create more companies also, you can accordingly create your multiple companies. So when we set up that legal entity or company, we second part is we have to generate the number sequence. So what the number sequence is, what their purpose is, and how they are used. Normally, when we will now generate the number sequence, you will see that we have two options. We can automatically generate the number sequence. There are around more than 3000 references available for which we need. So whenever we are creating a purchase order, purchase request, vendor payment, invoices, each document need a unique number. So these unique number need to be either auto generated from the systems, because if we have around thousands of around 2-3,000 number references available for which we need to generate the number sequence. Normally we can auto generate them, and later on wherever we need the manual, we can read that. Whatever the auto number sequence will be, actually it will use your company name and then add the number code 1 2 3 4 5 what it is. So if you are in the PO, wherever you are, it will first add the legal entity number in auto case, your legal entity number, company number, and then hyphen, and then we'll add. So all the reference number, like for the PO, for the PR, for your journals, for invoices, that will be the format. So that should not be the appropriate way. When we are in the virtual transactions, when we are in the purchase orders, we are in the PO, it's for the POR, we expect it should be like PR001. It's the PO, it should be PO001. If it's the vendor, it should be V001, something like that. We have multiple types of vouchers transactions. When we will create the customer payment journal, when we will create the vendor payment journal, inside the journals we have the vouchers. In the voucher transaction, sometimes we have 2000, 3000, 5000 of voucher transactions available. So if we will not properly number all these transactions, and if there is an issue, it will be really difficult for us to reach what transaction is right now in the voucher transactions. So it's always good, before starting a project, properly plan how your number sequence should be. That's what I was saying, that maybe I will ask one of the person to volunteer. The way we are trying to document this thing, the same person also document the voucher numbers on each and every modules also. Maybe in the Excel file, if we go for the general ledger, whatever the number sequence we are using, the general ledger voucher, we will accordingly name it properly, like JG001. When we are creating the number sequence for vendors, accordingly in that Excel file we can add V001. So even in the implementation project, in the real life, when you are doing that, you have a checklist available with you. Let's say around 20, 30, 40, 50. These are the mandatory things, voucher numbers, that should be properly referenced in the system. So you will get more clarity with the passage of time when we generate the number sequence and move accordingly. So I will come again here in organizational administration module. I will come onto the number sequence and I will click on the number sequences. You can see that already generated number sequence for different legal entity, because it's a shared form. Whenever you will see on the form that from multiple legal entity, it means that it is shared form. Like you see for the GLSI, for this TES _001 reference, the number sequence code is GLSI dash whatever it is. So it is for GLSI company. It's for INMF. Now we want to generate number sequences for right now for our case in my legal entity. If I go to the accounts payable, or maybe vendors, I don't have any vendor. I will click on new. I just want to see what it will do. So you see, I don't have any vendor account right now. So it means I have to manually give it. When I will generate the number sequence, I will get the number sequence for this. Same for the customer, same for the purchase order, same for the PO. It's a blank, fresh legal entity where for any references, we call this as a reference vendor account. If I move back to give you more clarity, if I go to the parameters, in each modules, you have this AP means in AP parameters, in AR, you have AR parameters, in AP parameters, if I go, you will have this number sequence option. Right now, for my case, I am in AP modules in AP parameter section. When I come to the number sequence, you see for my all references, I don't have any number sequence code. What I can do, I don't generate and manually assign a number code. So when I will create a new vendor, I, I have to create manually for everyone. But if you want to generate auto, what you can do, you can come in the number sequence and you will click on generate. It will take some time. Right now, we don't have number sequence for any of our module. It can take 4 to 5 minutes. So same in AP parameter, if I go to the account receivable module, same we have set up, we have AR parameters. So configuration for each modules, we will have this AR parameter, AP parameter, GL parameter, project management accounting parameters, and each module will have number sequence available. If I go to the number sequence in AR module, I don't have any number sequence. Now for the customers, if I want to create, I just come here and I can click on view details and I can create a manual. But right now what I am doing, I'm first generating for each and every module so I didn't get error. And whenever I have to change for any specific reference, I will accordingly change it. Did anybody worked in the past with the number sequence?
Yeah.
I did.
Yes.
I have also added one of the common error while working with the number sequence. Voucher is already used as of date. How to resolve this error? So there is one reference link is available. Normally there's a duplicate voucher number or same number generated in the same date. There's a procedure available how you can clear if this issue is appearing. And it's a very common error in production we have.
Can we copy number sequence from one entity to the other?
Sorry?
Can we import a number sequence from another entity?
I haven't used that, but I will check that for you. I haven't copied number sequence. I think when you will cross company data copy, when we do the cross company data, at that time we have the options available. Because some of the time we have to use the shared number sequence, and sometimes for all legal entry, like in our one of the scenario, we were using the PR number same for all of the legal entities. So it's also sometimes we have a same number sequence for all of our references across the legal entity. So I have to check that if we want to copy the number sequence, we can do that or not.
Okay.
So I have generated the number sequences. Now I am on the welcome screen. I will click on the next. Now you can see that for all of my modules, one GET, my legal entity name, dash and hyphen sign is available. So first it is displaying for my accounts payable module. And then accordingly for other modules also we have available. I will click on next. So you can see that for accounts payable around 141, accounts receivable around 135, advance holders accordingly. Whatever the modules we have generated the number sequence for it. Now, if I switch to any other module where previously I was seeing, you can see that now number sequence code is available. So whatever the code right now it is, accordingly, number sequence will be generated. For vendor account, it's ACCO underscore 22693, 22694. So if I will go to my account receivable or any other module, so it's just a simple wizard method. You just click on generate, you click on the next, and you generated all the number sequences. If we have to create a manual number sequence, and if I want to assign to some reference, let's say if I go to now my accounts payable module, and I go to the vendors and create a new vendor. Now the vendor account is appearing as 1GET-0001. But does it make sense to have a vendor's code like this way? Because for all of the references, it will be similar to like that. So company, what they want, they will customize it according to our own requirement. So what I will do, I have two options. Either in accounts payable module for vendors, I will go to the accounts payable parameter. So this is my vendor. Most of the time you are aware. If you're not aware, you have to find what the reference is for that particular screen. So in that scenario, I have this vendor account available, this one. And if I want to assign, I will just click here in the right arrow or click on view details. And then this is the right which appear. I click on the new and will create a new. Otherwise, what I can do, I can click on the number sequence, new and number sequence. Like this one, if I have to create a manually number sequence, I will create a new vendor sequence. It is for my vendor. I am putting it vend code. Or maybe for vend for simple. I'll select the company as a scope and I have to put my company name. I will remove this company code. I will add a value V. I have changed it to 5 and you can see that it is now V hyphen 5 times. I will say we will use this thing around 30, 40, 50 times in coming classes. So I'm just quickly telling you just what the manual number sequence code is and what the auto is. Because whatever module we will use, we will customize, we will use our own number sequence instead of auto system generated. I have to show you that if you have to generate the number sequence code auto for all of your modules, how you can do that. But normally, for whatever module we will use, we will create our own customized number sequence code. I have created for the vendor right now. Now, when I will create on the First, I will map it. This is the code we created just. We will save it. You can see the name here went. In the vendor accounts payable parameters, we have vendors information available. I have changed it here to VND. Now, when I will create a new vendor, you see that the vendor account code is V0001. So maybe your end users will let you know for the vendors whatever the codes they want, for the customers whatever code they want, for their journals, vouchers, every codes they want. So just that's what I was saying, that maybe one of the participant maybe start registering these codes with it in one of Excel files for all of the modules or references, whatever we will use in coming lectures. It will help us to document everything in our project, that how we have use the number sequence code in each of our module and each of our master data and each of our transaction data.
Raja, quick question.
Yes.
So let's say like now we are trying to migrate some of the vendors like now which have a different number sequence code. And when we're trying to migrate into the new system D365 with the new vendor sequence code as like V001, will the system let it migrate the data from the old number sequence, or like now will it throw an error saying that like now the number sequence is not?
If you are not, your number sequence is not compatible with already a system's number sequence code, you need to change it manual and import all your data first.
Okay.
Otherwise system will generate an error. Otherwise the format should be the same. Like if the first vendor should be V001, the second should be V002, and it should be properly mapped in your entity table field.
Or can we do something like this, that like now before setting up the new vendor sequence code, just migrate all the data without any any number sequence information, just migrate all the vendor accounts from the old data, and once all the migration is done, then like create the new number sequence, and going forward like the new vendors will be following the new number sequence method. Can you do that?
There can be multiple scenarios, multiple requirement. Based on the client requirement, you have to do whatever client will ask. Your technical team or your functional consultant will sit together and try to do this thing.
Sure, but it is possible, right?
It's possible. It should be possible.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
So what we have done in today's class, just to quickly recap, we went to the organization administration module. We created a new legal entity. We checked how to update, add new addresses. What are the number sequences, and how we can generate automatically number sequences. These are the URL for our different number sequences, auto number sequences, and how we can create a manual number sequence. We discussed one of the example where we use account payable modules, and we use the vendor code where we created a one customized number sequence, and then we try to map it with our vendor form. So vendor should have customized number sequence, and rather whatever the system generated number sequences. So I think for today's, it's good to practice these things first. Then from tomorrow, we will move to the operating units and maybe the hierarchy and other main accounts topic. Anyone else, any question?
Okay, I have a question, but I don't know how valid it is.
No. Just think about valid. Question is question.
Okay. See, we call legal entity and we also call it as a company, but both refers to the same, right? But sometimes in the configuration you have two options like company and legal entity. So is there a difference in setup or is it the same?
Last time I used this option, the parked question.
Okay.
Okay. And this was the question also, difference between company and legal entity in the number sequence setup.
Okay.
And I posted it on the community. I posted it on the community intentionally because I didn't get the true clarification even that. Because when I'm creating a number sequence,
Uh-huh.
see the both options, the legal entity and company. Some people say that this word is interchangeably used. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter. You are entering in the journal in the same legal entity you are, and you are selecting a company. You're putting a company. So these words are interchangeably used. Sometimes even in a lot of other legal other ERPs, they use the term company for the legal entity
Mm-hmm.
also. But in the Dynamics 365, it's more related to the technical, and it's really difficult to understand by the normal person. If you see that this thread,
Mm-hmm.
difference between company and legal entity in a number company. This option is used when a separate number sequence is used for each company. Use the
Mm-hmm.
company scope when the underlying table includes the data area ID field, for example, for the customer table. Legal entity. This option is used when a separate number sequence is to be used for each legal entity. So what I Hi Ramit, I am finding this explanation too technical. Could you please provide a beginner-friendly explanation? I
Mm-hmm.
am hoping someone on this forum can break it down in a simpler terms. Because still, when he explained this thing, it's more look like a technical thing. And it is technical actually. It is difficult to adjust by the person who is not doing at the back end database because mostly it is
Mm-hmm.
related to how the information is stored in the tables end. So now what he is saying that some tables store data per company. These tables do not have the company information. So when you select as a company, when to create a number sequence, you select company type. Some tables are shared. So data on those tables do not have company information. But if you do insist them to have a number sequence initials according to the company that is created, you need to select the legal entity.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when the information is stored in the tables, when you select the company, the data info company information is also stored in the table. But in the legal entity case, it is not stored.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Got it.
So I will add the parked question again. I think there is one question from Magagiti also, which still need to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
That was regarding the number sequence, that if we have to copy the number sequence also, should we copy all the number sequences, or there is some options available? Because I didn't get time to check how the cross company copy works. Normally what happened, let's say I have created this company. Now I want whatever I do, I have done the number sequences, I have done some other configurations. So when I'm trying to replicate this information to other company, should I copy the
Mm-hmm.
number sequences also, or should I stop this? So I haven't tested the cross company copy option. That is also available. I will check that for the number sequence copying. That is one of the thing.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot.
Anything else from today's class? If no, I think we can conclude today's class. Tomorrow we will start with the operating units, and also for maybe we'll continue with the main accounts also, which is a very important topic. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for your time.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.